Good afternoon, EFC families. For those of you who I've not yet had the pleasure to meet, my name is Larissa Adam, and I have the privilege of serving our community as superintendent of EFC. We hope that you're having a great summer. We're so excited to welcome students back to school next Monday, August 15. I'm going to provide you with a couple of important COVID-19 safety updates. We're going to continue to work together to ensure that everyone stays as healthy as possible. COVID is here to stay, but we can still reduce the amount of COVID cases and protect our community by using masks when case rates are high and testing ourselves and family members whenever we experience COVID symptoms and when we've been closely exposed to someone with COVID, and then isolating when we test positive. There will be two major changes in our COVID-19 safety systems this year. One, most COVID testing will happen at home using free COVID test kits provided by our schools. And two, masking requirements will change throughout the year, depending on the level of COVID transmission in our community. I want to take a few minutes to explain these changes in more detail. So let's talk about the first change. Most COVID testing will happen at home using free COVID tests provided by our schools. Families will need to test their student at home in a variety of situations, including right before we return to school after each major school break. And the reason for this is that during school breaks, we tend to travel and have many social contacts. So there's a greater chance of exposure to COVID-positive individuals. Families will also test their student at home when they develop COVID symptoms. Students who test positive will need to stay home. If your student tests positive, they need to isolate at home for anywhere from 6 to 10 days. In the next slide, I'll explain when they can return. If your symptomatic student tests negative, please call the school office, not the teacher, for a consultation. If the symptoms are minor and likely not related to COVID, for example, a headache from not getting enough sleep or a runny nose from chronic allergies, your student can probably come to school, but we will decide this on a case-by-case basis. If your student does test positive, you will need to test your student at home when they've recovered from COVID. Students can return with a mask on days 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10 if they test negative on one of those days. Otherwise, they should return on day 11. And at that point, they wouldn't need to wear a mask unless it were mask season, which I'll explain momentarily. Finally, families will also test their student at home if they've been in close contact with a positive case. Close contact means that they were indoors in the same room for at least 15 minutes in a 24-hour period with an individual who has COVID. And they should be tested for COVID on days 3 and 5 after exposure, and then isolate if they test positive. As long as they don't experience symptoms or test positive, they should continue to report to school. Let's talk about the next change. Indoor masking requirements will change throughout the year, depending on the level of COVID transmission in our community. When there's a lot of COVID circulating in our community, I'll inform you that it's mask season. And when it's mask season, everyone will be required to wear masks indoors. When the level of COVID in our community is low or moderate, I'll inform you that mask season is over and that you can choose whether your student will be mask-free indoors or whether you would like them to continue wearing a mask. Outdoor masking will continue to be optional throughout the year. Right now, COVID levels in our community are high, so it is mask season. EFC is currently requiring every student and staff member to wear a mask during this time. When you send your student to school on Monday, August 15, please make sure they're wearing a mask. And if they forget to bring one, we'll provide them with a mask. Thank you so much for listening to this important safety information. We're so excited for school to start on August 15th. See you then. Bye-bye.